Thank you. It's my pleasure at this time to introduce our next guests. And it's a double pleasure for me, really, because not only are they fine performers, but they're my very good friends as well. And I mean the Collectors. The Collectors' first record, Looking at a Baby, did quite well for them, and their new record, Fisherwoman, just broke this week, and we're looking for big things for it. And so would you welcome, please, the Collectors.
We went down and recorded in Columbia Studios, and you know, where the Beach Boys recorded, and it was just amazing going down there.
Your producer?
At that point it was Barry DeVorzon.
Yeah.
We did the first single, Looking at a Baby. Yeah, and we did it, you know, we did that and the B-side in one night. We came down, he got night hours with Tom May, who was a big engineer down there at the time, and we recorded this thing. And I remember after we'd done the vocals, we came back in and he said, this is 4-track, right? This is the state-of-the-art 4-track. Sure. And he says, yeah, sounds good. Let's do it again. And I went, well, what are you talking about? You know? Right around that time, I was starting to write because I wanted to play rock and roll. This was just a gig where I could make some money. And I was waiting for a chance to play rock and roll, and then I got a call from Claire Lawrence, sax player, who I had heard at the Blue Horn, which was a jazz club on Broadway in Alma at the time, and he was playing the way a lot of people did then with it was a jam session where all kinds of horn players would get up on stage, rhythm section stayed there and played, and a horn player would get up and play a solo. And most people got up and played as many notes as they knew in the first bar, and then continued to do that for the next however 120 bars or whatever it was, and then got off the stage. And it was impressive technically, but it didn't move me at all. I just, you know. Claire got up and he played, for the first little while, he played one note. And your ear right away goes, what? You know, and he just started playing around that note and adding another note and just kind of sending it out into the room and having the cool to send it out there and then kind of let it be there on its own for a bit. But he gradually wound his way up into an incredibly intense solo that was very passionate and just flying like crazy. And then he got off the stage, and that was a stunning thing. All I knew about this man was that he could do that, which blew me away. And then I got a phone call from him maybe a month later, and he was playing in this band in a place called the Torch Cabaret on Hornby, which later became the Zanzibar and later burned down. And he phoned me up and he wanted to know if I wanted to be in the band because they were losing their guitar player. And as soon as I knew it was him, I said, yeah, right away. I was going in the musical direction I wanted to go, and it worked for me fine.
Would you say your first impulse was it was apparent that you and Claire would make some good tunes together?
Yeah, I really felt a kinship there, an understanding. I mean, I felt I really understood what he was doing, and that naturally he would understand what I was doing.
The music, incidentally, has been scored, written and arranged by Bill Henderson and Claire Lawrence of the Collectors, with lyrics by George Riga. And it's available on this album entitled, oddly enough, Grass and Wild Strawberries. And so from the album, here are the Collectors to do The Long Rain.
A sliver of glass in a busted house, and mother stands there crying. They say a dead man touched my eyes, but I know they're lying. Soon I wish that I may go down where the deep still waters flow, down where the deep still waters flow, down where the deep still waters
Now, when you and I were talking on the phone, we were thinking, where is a Collectors Chilliwack like location in this town? Retinal Circus might be it, but it doesn't exist anymore. So we've come across from Mushroom Studios, where you spent many years of your life.
That's right.
For both groups?
No, actually just for Chilliwack. The Collectors recorded in LA. That was very early. That was like 67. And there really wasn't much in the way of recording around here.
A couple of firsts for Collectors, if I'm not mistaken. Were you not like one of the first groups out of Canada to have a U.S. Agreement, especially with Warner Brothers?
One of the first. Yeah.
It was a big deal.
It was early. Yeah, it was. It was huge. It was amazing for us, you know. Yeah, we were very excited. We went down and recorded in Columbia Studios, and you know, where the Beach Boys recorded, and it was just amazing going down there.
So how actually was the Collectors put together?
Well, I was the second last person to join the group. After I had joined, and the bass player who was in the group, Brian Newcomb, left the band, and Glenn Miller joined the band. And at that point, that lineup of personnel became the Collectors. There were 5 people: Glenn and Claire, myself, Howie Vickers, and Ross Turney. And that became the Collectors for, I don't know, we stayed together for about 2 years, I guess, 2 or 3 years.
What was happening in the Vancouver music scene at that time?
All kinds of stuff. It was really fun. Those were the psychedelic days, right? And people, 4th Avenue was a happening thing. The Afterthought, which is the Russian Community Center now, would have a concert, really, and people like Country Joe and the Fish, and I've forgotten the names of a lot of the people. Well, Country Joe and the Fish, the Grateful Dead, I saw the Jefferson Airplane there, and we played there. People around town, Tom Northcott and his trio played there. God, there were so many bands I've forgotten. Mother Tucker's Yellow Duck, there were tons of them. And there was a lot happening in Vancouver, and it was all original stuff. Everybody got up and played their own thing. We wrote really bizarre music because we were intentionally breaking barriers as often as possible and as passionately as possible. So the music had passion, which was an excitement and an energy to it, and at the same time we do it in a form, always trying to do it in a form that had not been used before, trying to break formal barriers of music. So we did that with great enthusiasm, and for the most part, people either liked us or hated us. They loved us or hated us. It was one of those kinds of bands.
All of the songs on today's show are written by the Collectors, and on personal appearances we do only original material. Like most groups, when we first started, we used to do other groups' tunes, but now that we've found we have some writing ability, we're concentrating mainly on our own thing.
Right now we have to have Canada's best group. Welcome, Chilliwack.
lot of really neat gigs with the Grateful Dead, and Albert was amazing. Albert King was amazing. Jeff Beck in Detroit playing with that group, and
was with Rod
many
Stewart
other
on vocals.
groups. Yeah, Rod Stewart and Jeff Beck and Ronnie Woods playing bass. And
Lonesome Mary.
Lonesome Mary, yeah, I like that pretty much. That was one of my screamers, and you know, when I got into that, I didn't always hit the notes all that well and stuff, but it came with the territory. You know? The first 2 or 3 years of Chilliwack was just major improvisation. That's what we were doing. And those were the gigs, like I talked about 10 Years After and Polka Harem and gigs like that here in Vancouver, and the Joni Mitchell, the Greenpeace thing, that was Chilliwack. And that was major improvisation. We'd go on stage, we knew we were probably going to play 3 tunes. We knew of 3 tunes that we were likely to play. We didn't know what order we were going to play them in. We didn't know how we'd get from one to the other. Sometimes we'd just segue naturally from one tune to another in a improvisatory way. And I call it improvisation because it wasn't jamming. Like jamming nowadays, what people mean by that is someone stands up and solos, and everyone else plays behind them, you know. And that wasn't what we were doing. What we were doing was everyone was improvising at the same time and trying to make it coherent, which usually worked. When it didn't work, it was admittedly a failure.
It's like improv.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you happy with the Dreams, Dreams, Dreams album?
I think musically the album was quite good, and there was nice imagery, sound imagery and stuff in it.
For a man in a rock and roll band, fly at night in the morning will land. Looking for a place that is not taken. Looking for a smile I can't awaken. All I need is room to breathe.
77 for Lights from the Valley album, we brought Brian into the group. We felt musically like things just weren't, it wasn't growing. We'd done an album and it was quite successful, you know, with Fly at Night and Baby Blue and California Girl, and we just didn't have the tunes for the next one. They just weren't there, you know, it wasn't happening. So we decided we need more musical input and brought Brian into the band, and he immediately contributed 2 or 3 tunes to that album, and he and I started writing together. After that album, it was just he and I left in the group. Everyone else had gone, and Brian and I started a new group. It was still Chilliwack, but we brought in other players. When you touch me, baby, I'm alright.
And the song My Girl is very, whenever I hear it, I notice the ocean or that kind of thing in it, because we wrote it on the ocean.
It's got the A in the bottom too, right?
I gone been gone so long, gone so long, been gone so long. Only back when you see my girl, gone so long.
We came up with the chords first, and then down, down, down came up instead of gone, gone, gone. And we were just sort of fooling around with the down, down, down part, like the old Cream song, whichever that is. But that started out as a joke and turned into the real thing.
So after we came back from the boat trip, we both went our separate ways with it. And I sat down with my Porta Studio, a little 4-track machine, and worked out a bunch of harmonies for it. And then it became apparent that Gone Gone was what it was.
For the last 10 years, they've been one of Canada's top bands, and now they're taking the United States by storm. They've just released their new album, Wanna Be a Star, and the single from that album is our pick hit of the week. Singing My Girl, Gone, 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 please welcome Chilliwack.
Remember that song "Life After Dark"? We were doing it earlier. Yeah. And we've been working on it a little bit. A little bit. Yeah.
Like that much?
No, the Flower Girl upstairs. Rose, the Flower Girl.
Good name.
We worked on it, but she wants to sing it. She wants to sing it with us. You think we can do it? What do you think?
Well, I don't know. Think we should have a huddle or what? Yeah. Good idea.
We were told we didn't have a single yet. We had all the other songs recorded, and we needed a single. So while I was working on, I don't remember what song I was working on, Brian went into the other room and he came up with the guitar part and the chorus line. What you gonna do? He came up with that, right? He brought it back to me, and we sat down and basically whipped it off in a couple hours, I guess. And then the lyrics, as usual, took another 3 weeks. I want you to sing along with me now.
Drumsticks pretty quick, or I'm going to go to sleep. So speed it up a good bit. California,
girl. Is it fair to say it's been a good life?
It's been a good life. Yeah, there's lots more to come, too. I'm only in the middle of it.
It's time for the disguise.